So let's chat about a couple of items that I just feel completely priced out by. They're not even aspirational at this point. I just don't think I can justify it. Hello, and the warmest of welcomes to today's video. For those of you who haven't seen my face before, hi, I'm Nick, glad to have you here. For those of you who have seen my face before, thank you so much for joining me again. I hope you enjoy my videos. I put out videos roughly 3 times a week on a range of different topics, anywhere from fashion to like more personal topics. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then please do head down, hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell. I love chatting with you all. I'm on about living life loud, and what that means to me is being your authentic self, being proud to be you, and just celebrating who you are. Celebrate yourself, and of course, always remember to celebrate others. So, items that I just feel priced out by at this point, like price increases, I think they're understandable, I think they're to be expected, but there are specific items that have just gone from here to a point that even with the money, I just couldn't ever see myself reaching for them. I couldn't ever see them. They're not aspirational to me at this point. And all of these items are items that I've had on my list at some point as either things that are pretty realistic to buy or things that in the future I would be really interested in. I'm just not in a position to at the moment. But I think I just need to strike them off because I just don't see the point any longer. The first one, let's get it all out the way. The Chanel Classic Flap. I'm sorry, the most recent price increase is ludicrous. The Maxi is now a price on request bag. What has changed in the past 4 or 5 years that has taken it from being a £5,000 bag, which was still a huge amount of money for it, but a £5,000 bag, to being priced on request? What is different about it? It is not unique. It's not got precious materials. What has changed? Madness. I would love a Chanel Classic Flap. I would really like one in a very bright colour, maybe like a patent. I do see them pop up on the resale market. There was one a little while ago that was in a bright orange patent maxi. I've seen a turquoise patent maxi. They're about £4,500, £5,000 on the resale, which again, it's a huge amount of money. It's more than I'm prepared to spend on anything at the moment, but, you know, would be manageable. My concern is that with them now becoming priced on request, what's that going to do to the resale market? I feel like it's now going to push what was a £5,000 bag on the resale up to £6,500. It just all starts to feel very out of reach, and I am not interested in it enough for that. I wasn't buying these types of items back when, you know, a classic flap was a couple of £1,000s. But I do remember those days. And I don't know what's changed. You know, so I can't see how the price of that has inflated. What I'm prepared to pay certainly hasn't inflated at the same rate. So there's now this big disconnect. I'm not a Chanel customer as is. There's not enough in there that grabs me to be a regular Chanel customer. However, also, let's call a spade a spade. I don't have the budget to be a Chanel customer on an infrequent, let alone regular basis. There are 2 items on this list from Chanel, both of which I've spoken about a few times. And the third item, which isn't on this list, but I've always really liked, is the Coco handle in the large or the maxi size. But I just can't justify the price point. Oh, Chanel earrings as well. Chanel earrings, CC earrings. Those are another one. They're not on this list. Spoiler alert. But the Chanel Classic Flap, particularly the maxi, I love it. I think it's beautiful. I think it's classic. I think it's chic. I think it's elegant. I think it's versatile. It's not priced on request. Absolutely not. And then I think you've got the medium, which is eight and a bit £1,000. I mean, crazy. Absolutely not. The next one is one that I'm so annoyed at myself for not just buying when it felt like a more reasonable price, because there are 2 reasons I now won't go for it. This is the Louis Vuitton Speedy. I've spoken about the Speedy a lot. I've spoken about the Speedy as long as I've had a channel, and I've been umming and ahhing. The reason I don't wear it, the reason I don't buy it, sorry, is because I'm not 100% sure how I would style the monogram. It's not a palette that I wear all that often. Would I use it though? I don't know. That's the problem. So I always talk myself out of it. The vachetta makes me a little bit nervous. I'm not careful with my bags. I don't look to have bags that have delicate materials on them. Vachetta feels like a delicate material to me. Again, it puts me off a little bit. But when I first started thinking about buying a Speedy, you were looking at £800-900 for the Speedy 40. The Speedy 40 has now been discontinued. And then a Speedy 30, not the bandouliere style because I wouldn't use the strap, but that's now £1,200 and something pounds. So it's gone up almost half again, and it doesn't have the size that I want. You also can't get a 35 anymore without the strap. So you're then looking at 1,600. It's just not worth it to me. I'm just not sure that I would use it. I do look at them on the pre-loved market, because then they've already got the wear, the vachetta's already worn in, but they often look like they're very, very well used. And I'm not afraid of a slightly more worn looking bag. I'm going to use it and I'm going to wear it. But because they hold their value quite a lot, you're still spending a significant amount. The cheapest I've seen in okay condition is about £500. For a good condition, you're looking at sort of £700-800. Considering that's where they were new not too long ago, I really struggled to swallow spending that. And to be honest, I think what I would use a Speedy for, I use my Mulberry Bayswaters for. And I looked at a Speedy versus my Bayswater when I was flying to France last year. And whilst I liked the Speedy, my Bayswater did capture my heart a little bit more. And it shows I've got 3 of those and I will look to buy more. So I feel like I've been probably priced out of where I feel comfortable with the Speedy. And although that's the same price new as a Bayswater, I know that the Bayswater works better for me as a style, so the money would be much safer for me being spent on that item. Plus, the Mulberry Paul Smith collection drops tomorrow, probably already live by the time that you see this video. I will try and do a video on it. But then if there's a Bayswater in a Paul Smith print, that's coming home. That is coming home. The third item is from a brand that I don't own. It is a brand that is known to be expensive, but it's also known to be beautiful quality. But this particular item would work perfectly for me in my collection, with my style, the way that I use my bags. However, the price point versus everything else in their collection is insanity. And this is the Bottega Veneta Cabot tote. The small size is 5.5. The medium size is creeping into 6. The large size is £7,000. Yes, will it be beautifully made? Yes, the leather is stunning. The intricciato? Yes, I think that's how you say it. Woven leather, stunning. The shape, very chic. It's glamorous. It's easy. It feels quite relaxed. It's understated. It's the epitome of that quiet luxury piece, which in fairness, isn't really my vibe, but I think this is gorgeous. Especially in the small size with the beautiful colours. You've got this bright blue, you've got this yellow, whereas the larger size tends to have a bit more kind of a neutral vibe to it. But if I was going to go for this in the large size, I'd probably buy it in black because I just think it's beautiful. It's quite loud without really saying much, if that makes sense. It's a bit of an I'm rich kind of bag. Well, I'm not rich, so that's why I'm not going to own this bag. But £7,000. It's very much, it reminds me very much of the style of my Aspinall of London tote. For that price point, an Aspinall of London tote is 1/10 of the price. And you can buy a woven leather version at the moment. So if I was going to be spending the money, let's be clear, I don't have £7,000 to spend on this. I think if this was 3.5, I think you could see how they got there, because like the sardine bag is about 3.5, and that's got all the hardware on it. So I don't really understand why this is so much more expensive. The threes, I could see where they were going with it. The brand's worth a lot, the leather, the quality, etc. But it's nothing exceptional. It's nothing uber glamorous. It's a beautiful bag, but there's a lot of beautiful bags out there for a lot less money that I can imagine are maybe not quite as well made, but certainly not, 7-8 times the price worse, if that makes sense. And last but by no means least, let's go back to Chanel. I've always talked about wanting a Chanel Deville. And I know it's not called the Chanel Deville anymore, it's the Chanel large tote. There's also a small tote. Again, just feel priced out of these. They haven't gone through ridiculous price increases like some of the other pieces, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they have. But for a fairly unexceptional tote, you're looking at 3,870. So there's a blue, which is a lovely blue, don't get me wrong, but it's just a blue material with Chanel written across it. You've got a pink with the same. And then you've got the slightly more intricate versions. There's this beautiful kind of, almost reminds me a bit of like a jungle kind of camo print with some pearl detailing on it. That's over 5,000. That's a lot of money for what it is, I feel. They're nice, don't get me wrong, but you're paying very, very much for Chanel. You're paying for that logo, you're paying for that brand. And there are other bags out there that I feel do a similar thing from other brands for a lot less money. As an example, I have my MCM Iron Shoppers. I have 2 of these. You don't have to get the ones that have the PVC on the outside. You can get one that's just a fabric with the long shoulders and the top handle, and that's about £700. And that's MCM. And I know that MCM isn't necessarily considered in the same esteem as Chanel, but it's still a high-end designer brand. It's a German luxury brand. So it's definitely worth looking at. I do like the Deauville. I think it's beautiful. I like the top handles. I like the fact that you have those chain details on the longer handles, and then you've got the leather strap. But there's nothing about it that makes me think nearly £4,000 for one that in my mind is quite lazy in terms of the design. If I was going to get one, I would absolutely spring and go for the £5,000 because I think the extra £1,200, you can see it in the design. It feels more unique. It feels a bit more exceptional. It feels like something that you won't see day in, day out. It doesn't feel too lazy to me. I couldn't ever justify the 3,870. Pre-loved, they really hold their value as well because I have looked at them pre-loved, thinking that maybe if there was one for about 2,000, I would maybe jump on it. I've also debated a GST over the years, but then I do think I would use a Deauville more than I would use a GST. Just because the GST has a formality to it, which as much as I really like that, it's very work appropriate for me. The Deauville would be one that I could use for work, but I could also use for kind of daytime and play. So I like versatility in my bags, as you know, especially if I'm spending significant amounts of money. £2,000 would be the most I've ever spent on a bag. So I would have to really love it, and that would be pre-loved. So, you know, looking at 3,870, who knows? Maybe one day. Like I said, they're not going through the same crazy price increases that some of the other pieces are. So who knows? Maybe in a year or two, I might look at that and think there's a design that's come out that really speaks to me, and £3,000 feels okay. I can justify it. You know, I've been talking about wanting a book tote style bag. I'm looking at the Versace ones at the moment. But who knows? Maybe I just save the money and work towards getting a Deauville. Or a large tote, whatever they're calling them these days. Large tote just sounds so... For £4,000. Oh, what did you spend your £4,000 on? Oh, the Chanel large tote. Wow. Sounds glamorous. I do also like the 19 tote. I think that's really cute. They also have this 31, which to me just looks like they've redesigned part of the Gabrielle and they've just called it the 31 instead. But anyway, I'm not getting into that. That's a whole different thing. Anyhow, those are the items that I really like, but I feel priced out by or are unjustifiably expensive. Non-aspirational at this point. They're just too expensive to even work towards in some instances. Let me know what you think. Do you ever feel this way about specific items? Are there bags, shoes, jewelry, brands, you know, things that you feel this way about? Talk to me. Let me know. Thank you so much as always for watching, and I look forward to seeing my next one. Take care, everyone. Bye now.